neurodivergent kids tend to process things linearly. It's one thing at a time. They have to do this one before they can do the next one. And in my head, I always envisioned like the checkout lane, right? And you got your little, scanner thing that has to, beep at everything, right? You
Right.
can't show 15 things across that thing
If
at
you
the same
just run your
time.
cart through the line and
Yeah, I was
everything's
just
got
saying,
scanned, that'd
guess
be
all
great.
what's in here. Look at all the stuff.
There's your $1 million idea or $1 billion idea.
Yes, that's why there I could do it. Right. They have to do one thing at a time, and they have to process that first piece before they can do the next piece. And that takes time. And so we have to anticipate where are those pieces that they're probably going to get stuck.
Right.
What are the things, right? I know, I need gas. He's going to look at the gas gauge. I got to, allow him to look at that. I've got to tell him, a minute ahead of time. If we as parents, we have to anticipate what are all the places that could get them stuck. What's that one more item that they have to scan across before, they're ready for the next piece of information. And then, right, that really teaches us what do we need to say? When do we need to say it? How far in advance? All the options. That's on us as the parent to anticipate for them. And you use the word front loading, right? It's how much can I give them ahead of time without being too much to overload them on that piece, right? Just the basics.
Here's the irony of this kind of work, right? Because one, you don't want to over front load, or that can cause a meltdown, right? So
Yeah,
it's got to be the right amount of front
the
loading, but
right
not
amount.
saying like, yeah,
Yeah,
because if you're starting off, we're going to the grocery store. Hey, by the way, I'm going to do this. Then we're going to come home. I'm going to do this and this and this. And like, it's too much information, right? Trying to
that's
scan those
too.
things
Yeah,
through, right? Trying to scan too much stuff through at the same time. But I also like to look at that, and I think it's kind of the same idea of the scanning the grocery items idea is that kind of details up processing. In my experience, at least, that idea of having to like examine all the details to then come to a conclusion about what it is they're thinking about or what decisions they have to make or what the day is going to look like. So it's different where a neurotypical will look at the big picture first and then drill down into details if necessary. So like if we walk into a room, we might be able to say, oh, that's that person, that person, that person, and everybody's sitting down and writing. So I should come in quiet and sit down and write without going, you walk into a room and see, why is there 6 pieces of paper on the table? Why do people have pencils in their hands? Why, whatever, right? We kind
yeah.
of go
Why is
from the
that person
bottom up
sitting
to
in my
make a
seat?
conclusion
Yeah,
that, oh, we're taking a test today or something like that, right? So, I guess the one of those, I guess, call it a superpower or a potential benefit of that is being very detailed focused and being able to see things differently. That if a neurotypical person kind of comes in, we make a lot of assumptions, right? Our brain screens a lot of things, a lot of information, like you're saying, all the stimulus that's around you right now, your brain can
yeah,
filter that. And maybe the pigeons are about to do something really scary and you wouldn't pay attention. But that idea of, you know, we come in and just make some assumptions about what's happening, and most of the time that's probably accurate, but it's cognitively efficient to do that, right? To tune
yeah,
out a lot of stuff, make assumptions, and then move forward. And then if there's something really unusual, then we'll focus in on that and kind of drill down into the detail. Whereas, neurodivergent kids or young adults or whatever, it's harder. It's like got to process what's happening detail by detail first and then build the picture, so to speak. And
yeah.
again, for problem solving and things like that can be really, really helpful if you have the time to solve a problem. That's probably a really efficient way to do it in terms of accuracy, but it's not as cognitively efficient in terms of just coming in and making some assumptions and moving on. So I do think it's part of that on the edge cognitively and sensorially all the time. Like there's just so much information that has to be dealt with. And so I think that's probably some of the time why changing routines is so hard. Like they had anticipated, they already done all the work, they built the model in their head about what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, here comes a new piece of information that doesn't fit into their plan or what they anticipated the day to go like, or the hour to go like, or the minute to go like, right?
You're
So,
like, yeah, and I think it's really, I love how I use that same example, kind of big picture to detail and then detail to big picture. So think about, right, if you're processing things one at a time And if you're going into a situation thinking it's going to turn out this way, here's the 5 things that I've already processed that, I know. If you've thrown a new thing in there, it's not just that one new thing that they have to process. They now have to kind of start over
Rebuild
and
the
figure
whole
out
ship kind of thing.
where that fits. And they kind of have to rescan all the groceries, if you will, to figure out how does this work, what does this impact, and does this one new factor then change anything else? And if it does, then what are the potential outcomes for that? And kind of working through all those scenarios. Again, our brains, a neurotypical brain, can do that because we're also not so worried about what that new outcome, right? We feel we probably are equipped to handle whatever kind of new input just came at us. They don't feel that confident,
Yeah, I
right?
mean,
That
again, like I said, it's a lot of work to get where
a
they're
lot of
at
work.
and to stay where they're at, right? So it's
Yeah,
kind of
and
like,
that's exhausting. Think about how exhausting, like how much just mental energy it takes to kind of get through that. And that alone is gonna, right, put you closer to that edge of pushing over. So yeah, I think we just have to be patient and compassionate and right. No matter how frustrating it is on the parent side of things, guarantee you it's way harder on their end.
yeah. And
Um,
again, that is one of those golden things that our parents can hang on to and understand.